Worthington Publishing. Excited to bring you a new video feature for our YouTube channel. It's going to be called Grant's Game Corner. And what I'm going to be talking about is games that are on my game shelf that I'm either going to play or have played or have read the rules. So I'm going to give you a review today of a new one that I just got in from Academy Games. It's called 878 Vikings. I'm sure a lot of y'all have seen it, either backed it on Kickstarter or on Academy Games website. I was very excited about this one because I own all of the Birth of America series. I thought that was a brilliant series, beginning with 1812. And now he started the Birth of Europe series. So I don't know what's next after this, but I'm going to be talking about the components, some of the rule features that I like. I will tell you I've played this at PresCon and at the World Board Gaming Championships this last year, so I know how the game plays. I haven't played it recently, but I went through the rules so that way I could explain what I really like to you about the game. So let's get right into it. Let's look at the physical components. The box matches all of Academy Games' other games from the Birth of America series. Same size, same materials, very high quality, beautiful artwork. I like this in games because it allows me to kind of have a nice looking feature on my game shelf with all my games lined up. So I've got all of my Birth of America series games and this one now lined up. So I've got 1812, 1775, 1754, and I think that's it, plus this one lined up, plus one or two other Academy games that match this box size. If you're a Euro gamer, a strategy gamer, a war gamer, you will like this game and this series of games. So let's look what's inside the box. Great box quality, and we'll leave the box cover sitting over here so you can stare at it. The rules. Academy Games does a great job of presenting their rules graphically, and I like this because words can wear you out. You know, having to read words is like reading a book, but when you add in from the very first page the opening setup, you can see the map laid out, all the components, the layout of the pieces and how you set them up and how you go about organizing everything for play. That's a great help. I'm a visual learner. I'm not a word reader. You know, and I think most of us are that way. With Worthington Publishing's newest game, Enemies of Rome, we tried to copy that style with our setup. Our graphic artist, Sean, actually put our rules, our setup for Enemies of Rome like this inside our book for that game. So we've got that upcoming probably in October, and we've tried to mimic what Uva's done well here for Academy Games. I found the rules very well organized. I found the graphics greatly helped if I had a question, you know, if it was anything that might be even a little bit, I don't know what this means. The pictures definitely helped. The rules checked in at 18, 19 pages, 20 pages with a cover, but it's actually probably more like 6 or 8 pages because beginning on page 10, he starts explaining event cards with the cards laid out, telling you exactly what some of them might mean if you have any questions. Again, lots of great graphics in here. And then beginning on page 15, he goes into historical overview. That's always cool. Gets you in the mood. If you haven't watched the TV series Vikings, you know, reading some of this material will get you interested in the topic. And that's always good. Lots of cool plastic miniatures. Originally, this was going to be designed with wooden cubes. Due to the Kickstarter backing, they went with a nice semi-hard plastic. You got black, blue, green, red, and yellow here, and each one represents a different faction within the game that you'll control or use during combat. You get a cloth draw bag, which you'll use to determine player order within a game turn. You'll put each of the colors cubes inside, the bag other than the color yellow, which is just an additional piece for the English player, but you'll put each of the four colors within inside the bag. And when you draw that color, you're allowed to activate and move that particular color's units within an area on the game board. Um, Something different with this game versus the Birth of America series. He put in leaders for the Vikings and one for the English. And each of the Viking leaders has a stand-up counter, and there's some different victory point markers along the bottom here that you use to keep track of victory points. Pretty cool feature, and it does come in handy within the game. You get a player aid card with the sequence of play here, showing all the various shires or areas within the game board here. And the game board is really nice looking. I'll lay this out. But it's a good size game board. I believe he's got a larger game board available on his site. Sorry for blocking my beautiful face out there. But the game board here is England and the beginnings of Scotland down in the bottom. And it's a good size board. It's broken up into areas. Some of the areas have starting positions for the players' pieces and show key areas that the Vikings can invade in depending on the game turn. All the important information he needs on the game board, keeping track of rounds, keeping track of whose turn it is in the upper right corner. The victory point track is along the bottom as the Viking player takes cities and key locations. He removes it from the board and puts it down here on the victory track. It's got setup locations and reinforcement locations for the English player. You get a set of pawns to keep track of the turn, as well as stands for the leader counters. The cards. Each side, or each of the four factions, gets a card deck, and there's actually a fifth in here for a piece, an English piece, the yellow piece called the Feared, F-Y-R-D. And what they are is when a battle occurs in a location, you draw a Feared card to see how many of these villagers with pitchforks and blades show up to aid in the defense of England. That's a pretty cool feature because you never know as the English how many are going to show up, and you never know as a Viking how many are going to show up, and it can be a game changer in a battle. You might think you've got one as a Viking when a large number of them show up. The coolest feature to me about all of the Birth of America series and the Viking series were the game dice. Right from the get-go, you get the idea of what they were trying to do with the game by using these dice. And how they do it is each color has a limited number of dice that can be used in battle. For the Feared, you can only use 2 per battle round to roll. For the Berserker Vikings, you roll 3. For the standard Norsemen, you can roll up to 4. And for the different English factions, the Thane and the Housecarls, I think it is, you can add 3 and 4 respectively. What he's done is he's baked the history into the dice. Villagers with pitchforks are much more likely to run from a battle than a Berserker Viking, a Viking all hopped up on liquor and promises of fortune and wealth. So if you roll a fleeing villager on your dice, they leave the scene. They're out of the battle next round. They don't get to ever roll again. And that's on your dice. So, you rolled, and I just rolled 2 fleeing villagers on the first 2 dice. So if I had 6 villagers in there, well, I didn't hit anybody, and you had 2 leave the battlefield. Whereas with the Vikings and with the Englishmen, they're much more likely to stay in battle. Some of the dice give you the option, and this one, it's one of those Viking horns. And you have the option of moving out of the area you're in a battle into an adjacent area with your units or open. I think that's right. Sorry if I'm wrong. But I know if your pieces are there, they can move into it, or they can stay in the battle. And then if you roll crossed axes, you hit one of your opponent's units, and they're removed. It's a really cool feature that reflects the history. Like I said, the villagers are more likely to run from a battle than a Viking. Some of the English are more likely to run from a battle than the Vikings, but they may be more likely to hit than the Vikings are. So it's a cool bit of historical information that's actually baked into the game. You don't have to think about it. There's no added chrome, no, a full page of rules with exceptions and this and that on it. You get it in the dice, and it's history baked in. You don't have to think about it. The same thing with the cards. Some of the cards have special features. They allow extra movement. They allow maybe reinforcements. I haven't even popped my card deck open here. What the cards do is they allow you to move your armies. They activate your armies. So you'll have like two numbers on the right-hand side of the card. One will be how many armies may move, and the other will be how far they can move. Now, the cool thing with the Viking leaders is a Viking leader can activate an army in their area or that is on the leader's card and can move and fight and move and fight and move and fight up to that leader's rating. Whereas just Viking armies in an area can move in battle. So the leaders move first, they move, fight, move, fight, move, fight, up to the movement allowed on the card, as long as the Viking player keeps wanting to do it. So it allows a raiding army to hit the coast and raid far inland, whereas the standard Viking movement card may just allow an army to go from one area to the next. So having a good leader is important in the game, and they appear. You start out with one particular Viking leader, and then they kind of appear randomly. The English have a leader that appears on turn 5 of the game. The game either ends automatically by the Vikings controlling, I believe it was 14 areas, or 0. The Vikings control 0 cities on the game board, game over. If the Vikings control 14, game over, the Vikings win. There's also treaty cards that end the game in turns 5, 6, and 7 of the game. The game's 7 turns. If the 2 Viking factions or the 2 English factions play their treaty cards prior to or up to turn 5, 6, or 7, the game ends after all players have taken their turn on turn 5. So it's turn 6. One of the Viking players, the Norsemen, have played one of their treaty cards back on turn 4, and on turn 6, the Berserkers play their treaty card. That means on turn 6, at the end, after all 4 factions have taken their round, turns over, and whoever, I think it's 7 cities. If the Vikings control 7 cities, they win. If they control less, the English win. Guys, that's it for this video. I know it went kind of quick. I did a lot of talking. If you like our videos, if you like Grant's Game Quarter, if you like Worthington Publishing, our channel, please go down below, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, tell us you like the video. I plan on making this a regular feature. I'm going to be reviewing current games as well as some old classics. I've got some old Milton Bradley classics and American Heritage Series games. Look forward to getting your comments. Shoot us an email. And go out and check out our game page, worthingtonpublishing.com. We're always happy to hear from you, and we appreciate your support. That's it for today. I'll be doing another one of these on Wednesday. And also be sure to check out my game design vlog. I'll be posting one of those at some point tomorrow, Sunday, September 3rd. So I'll have a game design vlog up, and I may try and alternate days on these. Thanks a lot. Happy gaming. Have a great day.